Hello and welcome back to Phone a Friend News with the I almost said fanboys of gaming. Welcome back to Phone a Friend News with the ambassadors of gaming. I'm one of your two hosts, Ambassador Chris,
And I am Ambassador Michael.
and we have news about stuff,
Indeed,
which
we do.
is probably what you're expecting on a Thursday by now. Okay, so we basically have more small news than we do big news, but yeah,
Yeah,
you're
as it
still
generally
here.
is.
Don't leave.
Please, please show us support. We need it. Also, Case, I know you're out there, and I appreciate you. He watches
Case,
every fucking video or audio. He watches it every time, no matter what. I appreciate you very much, and everyone else, but specifically him
thank
because he makes weird sexual comments to me, and I love
thank
it.
That's unnecessary. Thank you for uh, thank you for supporting us, everyone that supports us. But I'm going to go ahead and get to the news. So basically, Halo 5 was disappointing to some fans. For me personally, it's because the online wouldn't work.
Indeed.
Uh, I thought the gameplay itself was pretty solid, actually.
Mm,
All the stuff that they added to it, the features, the movement, aiming down sights. I thought it was a pretty
solid
solid
game.
gameplay stand. But the online would never work for us ever. There was always an issue. I'm not going. There's always an issue somewhere around. But apparently, fans were more upset about the story. Okay, so I've got a quote here from who's the quote from, Michael?
I didn't catch this guy's first name. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead and start reading it. I will give you the full name in a second.
Okay. We very much realized that people wanted Master Chief's story of Halo 5. We definitely marketed it in a way that we hoped was going to bring surprise. But for some fans, and certainly fans of Master Chief, it was a huge disappointment because they wanted more Chief. So Halo 5, as Mike put it earlier, Halo 5 focused more on the universe of Halo rather
Mm-hmm.
than about the Master Chief himself. It set things in motion. It wasn't so much about Chief. They almost had two stories going on at once with two separate teams.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. And he went on to say, it wasn't that surprising to me, but the volume of give us more Chief at the end of Halo 5 was significant. And so I think, if anything, he's slightly more important now than he has ever been, certainly to our franchise. So he kind of gave us essentially the hint that Halo 6, when it comes around, will be more focused on Chief, if not totally focused on Chief. I doubt they'll
Mm-hmm.
abandon Locke,
Yeah, I doubt
but
so too.
maybe he'll play more of a more like a sidekick to the
Yeah.
Chief.
My idea or my thought behind this, because I wish I could quote the person because they put it very eloquently on Twitter, and basically what they said was we complain a lot as gamers to developers, and usually not in appropriate
Oh
ways.
my, you're the worst of them all.
Yeah, I complain a lot about everything.
I love
So
this. This is great. My only complaint is blank.
there's always going to be something I can complain about, but I appreciate the effort and time that went in, whereas some people don't. They're just cruel to them. But the person who tweeted this out when they quoted this article, they said, "This is how you go about affecting change in a series you care about. You do it respectfully, and then the developers recognize what their fan base wants, and they will adjust accordingly." So congrats to everyone that put their concerns forward and were respectful to the
And wasn't a
developers.
jerk.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, if you're not a dick, they actually take consideration into what you have to say. So, you know, good on the Halo community for not being total douchebags.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay, so Mike's got this huge thing about the Switch, but before we go into it, I'm going to give you a small overview on one of the issues the Nintendo Wii U had.
Mhm.
Aside from its obnoxious gameplay, low processing power, and its online being terrible, um, Nintendo had trouble landing third party developers because let's say I'll use World at War as an example, even though Call of Duty World at War had been out for a long time before Wii U came out. So basically, these people come to Nintendo and say, "Hey, we want to make our game for your platform," and Nintendo's like, "All right, but you have to make functionality for the gamepad." And they're like, "Why? Like, we already have the
Yeah.
game finished. Why would we do more work?" And Nintendo's like, "You have to use the gamepad. Like, this is how we're marketing our system. That there are going to be more innovative games using the gamepad. You have to use the gamepad." So people were like, "No, then we just won't develop for your system."
Yeah.
Like when it comes to going between PlayStation and Xbox, it's just changing
Button configuration for the most part.
button configurations, lines, small lines of code, like stuff like that. But for adding a whole nother portion, it's essentially adding more development to the game. It's putting the
Yeah.
game back into development, like, and then they have to beta test for that stuff and make sure that all works and there's no bugs with that. So, all
Yeah.
right, now that I've said that, Mike, go ahead.
All right. So this refers to Axiom Verge and the studio behind it. One of the members of the development team went on a podcast recently, and he stated that he had hoped to get out Axiom Verge on the Switch. So we're starting from there. Dan Edelman, who works at the studio where they created Axiom Verge, he tweeted out, where is it? Tom never said that Axiom Verge is confirmed for Switch. Sad face. He went on to reply to people when they asked him about it. He said, "We need them to say it's okay." Them being Nintendo. We could have had it out at launch, and then
Which
he went,
is an eye opener.
yeah, which is a big deal, especially because it's a Metroidvania in old school kind of 8-bit format. It's a perfect fit for a Nintendo console. Um, but then he went on to say, when he replied to somebody else, he said, "We've been asking them nonstop for over a year. They're being douches." Which means they're doing, from what I'm reading from it, because I don't know anything about any of these people, um, but they worked very hard to get, they even got it on Vita. Alright? And fucking the Vita's been dead for like
Vita.
2 years. Yeah.
The Sony abandoned that
Yeah. So
like a baby on prom night.
pretty much, like they abandoned the fuck out of the Vita, and the developers at Axiom Verge finally got it on Vita, even though it took forever. They still did it. So my only conclusion with this is that they're being truthful, that they want to put the game on Switch, but Nintendo's just not letting them, or not giving them replies, or not getting in contact with them. They're making it difficult either way. And if this happens frequently to other developers, especially independent developers, that is fucking bad. Really, really bad. At least they had a kind of excuse with the Wii U. You know what I mean? Where they were like, use the gamepad, and they're like, no. Now it's just like, we want to make the game for Switch, and they're like, no. And they're like, why? Because no. Like, the fuck? Just let people make fucking games for your console, alright? I want to play good games on the fucking Switch.
Reminds me of when you'd ask your stepdad to come hang out with me.
And be like, no. Like,
Why?
But why? Because no. Alright?
That's what that makes me think.
Like, that makes no fucking sense. But alright.
That was before we adopted him.
That is true.
He's ours now. He's ours now.
So anyways, this for me is a huge concern, because they fucked up real bad with the Wii U and indie developers. So I'm hoping they don't do the same to indie developers on the Switch, because I keep saying this because I think it is true, is that if the Switch wants to breathe and live, it needs independent developers, because
I agree.
certain third-party games aren't coming to it. You're not going to get games like For Honor. You're not going to get Call of Duty. You're not going to get Destiny. So
Destiny on the Switch.
you're probably not going to get Assassin's Creed. So, like, they have their games, which they release 4 or 5 a year, right? Generally speaking. Big name, AAA kind of games. And then they got their little, like, B kind of games. But that's it. So outside of indies and then, like, little games that, like, big publishers put out, like, what else do they have? You know, they
I
need it the
agree.
same way the Vita needed it to live. The Vita still lives only because of independent developers. So
Yeah, Sony abandoned that forever ago.
exactly, Sony doesn't develop for the Vita. They haven't developed for the Vita in fucking years. But independent developers are still like, you know what? The people that have Vitas are hardcore shit, and they will probably buy this. A good portion of the community will probably buy it. So they continue to make games for it. So I hope
Several years
Nintendo,
of development wasted.
yeah, right? Like they spent years of their fucking life, or months at least, working on a game to put it on a
No,
handheld that's
was
dead.
talking about the Vita itself.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
was talking about the Vita itself. Like years of development for the Vita, and then they just abandoned it.
yeah.
Like
That's
at least
true.
over here, anyway.
It's so upsetting because the Vita is so good. Like that's why I'm so pissed about the Switch. This stuff with the Switch is because I don't want it to happen like the Vita happened. It's a good fucking system. Don't kill it by being stupid.
Yeah, definitely. And Mario Kart 8 Deluxe plays awesomely on it.
I have it. I'm gonna play it after this, but
It plays so well.
I'm
It's
excited.
amazing. Yeah, it was really fun when I was playing earlier. Okay, so those were our two big pieces of news. We're gonna go ahead and move on to Flash news now, which has some interesting stuff. So obviously, Call of Duty World War II announced. Whoa,
Yeah,
Call of Duty.
we're we're not really gonna talk about it. If you want to watch the trailer, it's there. If you want to get more information, it's there. We're not like diehard Call of Duty fans, but I I know it's important to some people, so I figured I'd put it in.
But one thing I will say about it is the games the story modes for World at War, particularly Black Ops and Black Ops 2, were absolutely amazing. The story arc was really
Yeah,
good. The way they were connected, those were really great stories. So if you are one of those people that doesn't just buy and instantly go to the multiplayer, that like respects the a story aspect, supposedly this is going to be a really good
yeah,
story. We're talking about like not so much about war, but more so about like how these this team of people on
yeah.
D-Day. I think it's D-Day.
Probably. Probably.
Um,
If I have to guess, it's probably going to be set up like Black Ops and World at War, where it's like
where they went to
the
Normandy.
big important battles fought throughout World War II would be
Yeah.
my guess.
So you're just going to be seeing this group of people, kind of see their relationships with each other as they like go through this really bloody war.
Yeah,
It is supposedly it's going to be really good. I haven't played a Call of Duty campaign since Advanced Warfare,
fair enough.
so I am
Also,
very excited to play this.
one thing for me to just jump in, because World at War doesn't really talk about it, is they kind of exclude the Holocaust and don't really talk about it because obviously it's a sensitive issue for a lot of people. Um, this one is going to include parts of the Holocaust and talk about the Holocaust, which I think is important.
Well,
So
it is. I mean, it's a part of history.
it's not a
Um,
great part of history, but it's
what a lot
important to
of
look at.
people, but before people start yelling at Germany and everything, I'm
Mm.
just going to say this. People think of Germany as being the conqueror, but a lot of people forget that the first country that Hitler conquered was Germany.
Yeah, he conquered Germany first, then he conquered everything
People
else.
in Germany were not living all that much better than anyone else out there in Europe during World War II.
No, and
It
actually,
it
before
was
World War II, they
for
had it
everyone.
pretty rough too. We
Well,
if you know about
I
history, you
was
know that we
I
fucked
was
Germany pretty badly at the end of
I
World
was a
War One.
history buff. I was a history, or I am a history buff. I was going to major in history. World War II got started over some assassination that didn't even involve Germany. Um,
No, that was World War One, right?
yeah, yeah,
That
that's
was
what I meant
the
to say.
whatever, like the what
Yeah,
was it?
World War One. But then in the end of it, Germany got blamed, and Germany got hit with the war
Yeah,
reparations. Germany was poor; their economy collapsed because they were so
yeah,
poor. And basically, here comes this guy out of nowhere saying, essentially, Donald Trump going, "I'm going to make Germany great again." That
yeah.
person
We're gonna
was
be a great country, and we're gonna get our stuff back, and like he just said
okay.
everything everybody wanted to hear. So
But this is not a history channel.
no,
point we're trying to make is that it's probably, I wouldn't even be surprised if it's something you can skip, because you remember there was that really bloody
The
scene in Modern
the
Warfare 2
Russian
when you a
airport, yeah.
terrorist in the Russian airport. You could skip that. There was a scene in Modern Warfare 3 where you're like a truck explodes and like kills a family. I'm pretty
Mm,
sure you can skip that too. I would not be surprised if there's several scenes or things
yeah, where it's
that
gonna
they
contain
warn you about.
sensitive material.
Yeah, where they say
So
if you're not comfortable with this, don't watch it.
yeah, so I'm
So
actually pretty pleased with that because like I know it's not something pleasant to talk about, but it's important to that era. So good on them
yes,
if it's true. I just read a headline. That's all. So I have no more information about that than that. Moving on though. Sorry, I needed to recollect, or I needed to collect myself.
take
Gamatsu
your time.
reported that a Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 has been rated in Korea, and reportedly it'll have the rest of the Mega Man games 7 through 10. Um, Interesting. I hope it's true because I bought the first collection, and those games truly are something fucking special, man. Like Mega Man 1 through what 5, I think, are on there, or 1 through 6, and they're just fucking great games. Like
Put them
they're
on the
so good.
Switch.
I
Put them
wish.
on the Switch.
I wish.
Those are perfect games for the Switch.
Yes, exactly. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. I'm sure it will. Also interesting while I'm thinking about it, Capcom also has a AAA unannounced game that they plan on releasing in March of 2018.
Is it
So
Mighty Number 9? Is it Mighty Number 10?
no, that was Indie Creates, but
Oh my gosh, I saw the Honest trailer for that, and they always give a comical title at the end. And instead of saying Mighty Number 9, they said Giant Number 2. It's like,
that game's oh bad. Oh my god. Um,
play a game with a battle system that's so bad you'll wonder if you ever liked Mega Man in the first place.
yeah, really. Like holy fuck. Um,
It was terrible. Um,
so moving on, we got two more
yeah,
pieces of news.
move on.
Uh, this piece is if you're in the realm of gaming and if you're in the realm of YouTube and gaming, tropes versus women in video games is ending. That's a series done by Anita Sarkeesian. Um, I'm happy about it personally, but you know, teach their own. If you enjoy the content, I'm sorry that it's ending, but I just figured it was important to put out there because it has played a role in gaming since she started doing it, and it's been important for the industry in general. So
Look at
I
you being
wanted
an
to.
adult. Look
I
at you.
don't. I don't like her or agree with her, but it's what she did initially was important. So I will give credit where credit is due.
Much adult. Wow. Okay, so now
Now, happy news.
we're gonna get back to the very last piece of Flash news, and it's, of course, I'm sure you've already heard about it already, but we're gonna discuss it anyway. 2DS, the new 2DS XL is what it's called.
Yeah.
It's a new handheld by Nintendo in the 3DS line. Starts at 150, so half the price of the Switch. It is the 2DS, but they made it. I don't really understand much of the point of it. It's only like $50 cheaper than
The
3DS
3DS.
new 3DS XLs are right now.
My guess. This is just a guess. My guess is that they continue using the 2DS line instead of the 3DS going forward, mostly because it's a bitch to develop for, and it costs so much more fucking money to do than to just make a 3D game on a handheld. So I'm assuming they're gonna take the Switch and then the 2DS, and those will be the systems they use going
Okay.
forward.
So let me go ahead and first I'll describe this to you. It looks almost indistinguishable. In fact, no, it looks indistinguishable from a new 3DS XL.
Yeah, the design
It
for those are weird.
it looks just like it has a differently designed chassis. It's supposedly they made it hinge. They gave it a hinge. So I don't know
That's
if
the most
this
important
is
part.
I don't know if this is supposed to be more durable or what. I don't know what it's made of. I couldn't find anything on what it's made of versus the 3DS. It looks like
Yeah,
it's still made of the same plastic that it was made of. It looks the hinge though does look a little thicker, so maybe that's stronger.
Yeah.
Maybe that hinge is a little bit stronger.
The color schemes are a little weird, but other than that, it looks fine. It looks just like the 3DS for the most part. It kind of looks a
The
little
screen
flimsy
dimension,
though. That's why I'm concerned.
it does, yeah. The screen dimensions are the same as the new 3DS XL. It offers the C stick, same as the new 3DS XL. Um, the Let me see here. A lot of the stuff is in the same position. It's got the stylus on the bottom, audio jack on the bottom. One thing that bothers me, and this really bothers me, I have a new 3DS XL. I was talking to Mike about this before the video, and the game card slot is on the bottom left, and that's fine. The problem is though, is that if you're not careful, your thumb or the bottom of your hand can touch that game card and nudge it or shift it, and then your game crashes.
Yeah.
It's essentially the modern day equivalent of jerking that GoldenEye cartridge in the N64 to watch the sprites go nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
Pretty much, it
yeah.
fucks you up.
But this one has a cover for both the game card slot and the SD card slot,
Which is necessary,
which is
honestly.
necessary. Yeah,
Especially
they
with the
should
way
have
it's
put that.
positioned.
Yeah, they should have put that on the 3DS. What else do we have here? It's got the same processing power, the upgraded processor that's in the new 3DS and new 3DS XL. The graphics and color display are exactly the same with the exact same size dimensions, except it is not capable of 3D. Big
Yeah,
shocker
so
there.
so basically you're getting a 3DS without a fucking 3D, which is fine because most of the fucking games don't even have 3D incorporated in them anymore, except for the
Yeah,
Nintendo made ones.
was it just me or did Pokemon Sun and Moon not have 3D? Oh,
I
you didn't
never
play
played
Pokemon
it,
Sun and Moon.
so I would
I couldn't
assume
get
not.
I couldn't get the 3D to activate.
They probably
Let's see
took it
here.
out because it's a fucking pain in the ass to develop for. It costs a lot of fucking money and it's not really worth it because nobody uses it. Gives
So,
me a fucking headache.
something worth noting: they moved on the 3DS in new 3DS, or on the new 3DS XL and just the new 3DS. They moved the start and select buttons to the right and put the home button, but left the home button on the bottom. On the 2DS, the home button is moved to the left side, directly underneath the directional pad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something, if that interests you. Still has the front-facing camera.
For no
Let's
reason.
see here.
I wish they would cut all that shit out so they could just cut the cost of it. Like, they could save
Yeah,
so
let's see.
much more money if they cut stupid shit like that out.
Let me see here. What do I have here? Let me see some. This one, however, it comes with an AC adapter.
So it's $50 cheaper and you get a charger.
That bothers me. Why is it the new 3DS XL and the new
I
3DS?
feel
Why
like
do
the
they not
new
have chargers?
3DS XL and the new 3DS were like, huh, we got an idea, let's do this. And then they rushed through it real quick and they were like, fuck, we forgot a bunch of shit.
Okay,
Like,
I talked to someone at GameStop, okay? And according to Nintendo, their line of logic was that they already have a charger for it. Like, they don't
yeah,
need another one. But the thing is, though, if you have a 3DS, okay, and you go to a store to trade it in, say a GameStop, what is GameStop going to want?
the charger.
The charger.
I don't. I swear Nintendo lives in some other fucking reality. Like, they just do not fucking think things through sometimes. It's absurd. So, Nintendo being Nintendo, you know.
Yeah. So, comes with a yeah. Unlike the other ones, though, I guess if this is interesting to you, the normal 3DSs, all 3DSs except this one, take full size SD cards. This one does not. It takes a micro SD.
Huh.
But it does include a 4 GB one, which is what comes with the XLs.
Yeah. I don't even think the original 3DS came with one, if I remember right.
Yes, it did. It had it
It
built.
did?
It came with. It was just already inserted because that's all the memory the system has. It's on the memory card.
Yeah, yeah.
it doesn't have any. At least if I remember correctly, I don't
No,
think the system itself has any memory of its
it
own.
does, but it's only meant for software updates.
It's probably
It's
only
not.
dedicated to the UI.
Yeah, yeah. It's only meant for UI and UI updates. It's not meant for fucking anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Which is
So
man, whatever.
um, do I like it? I mean,
It's
I
fine
don't know
if
what
they're
it's
not.
made of. I don't really see why it was. I mean, the 3DS itself for what? I think like 200.
Yeah, I think they started
The new
200.
3DS XL started like 200, I think. Oh,
Yeah.
I really don't want to say that. Let me go to hang on. Let me go to GameStop's website here.
Yeah, go ahead and find out.
Let me go to GameStop here, and I will look at what this has. Okay, so let's see. 3DS. Uh, really? You don't just have consoles?
There's not an option for
Really?
consoles
Oh,
on their
here we go.
website.
Okay. 3DS XL game system. So let's take a look here. So yeah, so I have the Galaxy style 3DS, okay, and that's a new 3DS. That goes for $200, okay.
Okay.
The new 3DS XL, the NES edition, which I also have right here on a stand, is $170. So you are essentially just this is I wouldn't be surprised if this is what sells.
Yeah, yeah. This is gonna
This
do
is going to
well, I
be what
think.
sells. The 3DS is